this meeting to order. Mary, roll please.
Myers.
Here.
Howard.
Here.
Redlin.
Present.
Showalter.
Here. Join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States
States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Alrighty. Thank you everybody for coming today. We have anybody signed up for public comment? No public comment?
No.
Okay. We have no presentations today. We'll move on to the consent agenda. Item A is the February 3rd, 2025 Commission meeting minutes, and item B is appropriation ordinances 2025-04, 2025-04A, and 2025-P04. Do we have any questions about the consent agenda or comments?
I'll move to approve the consent agenda items A and B.
We have a motion by Commissioner Redlin,
Second.
second by Commissioner Myers. Mary, roll please.
Howard.
Yes.
Redlin.
Yes.
Myers.
Yes.
Showalter.
Yes. Thank you, everybody. Move on to appointment of commissioner by a governing body to fill vacancy on the city commission. Kent, do you have anything you'd like to say, or do we want to just go ahead and move into nominations?
That's what it should be. We've had one candidate, or one person, come and present to the council, or to the commission. We haven't had any other contacts, and you stated it would occur at this meeting as far as the appointment of the city commission. It does take a motion for that to happen.
Okay. Well, I would make a motion to nominate Sarah Artzer to fill the remainder of Aaron Thompson's term on city commission.
Second.
I have several seconds. I'll take Commissioner Redlin's. Mary, roll please.
Myers.
Yes.
Howard.
Yes.
Redlin.
Yes.
Showalter.
Yes. Sarah, we'll have you step up here and take your oath. Congratulations.
And you'll be sitting at yes.
Yep.
Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Sarah Arthur,
I, Sarah Hudson,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I support the Constitution of the United States,
that I support the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the State of Kansas,
the Constitution of the State of Kansas,
and the laws of the city of Feburary.
and the laws of the city of Feburary.
I will faithfully
I will faithfully
and to the best of my ability
and to the best of my ability
discharge the duties
discharge the duties
as city commissioner.
as city commissioner.
So help me God. Okay, will you just leave the sign right here, please?
Does she have one?
I have a Thank you. So you want to come up here?
Yep.
Come on up.
Congratulations. We'll get to work. There you go. All right, we'll move on to item 6, ordinances and resolutions. Turn it over to our city manager, Mr. Brown.
Members of the commission, what's before you is ordinance 1795, an ordinance amending sections 18401 of city code, adding a plat amendment and a plat correction process, and then also adding sections 18404.5 and 18404.7. There are two minor processes. This goes back to the recommendations that were made by, after speaking with both the Planning Commission and the City Commission. Barb with Community Manners had made a number of recommendations. This is just two more of those recommendations involved. It just adds a plat amendment, which doesn't create additional lots. It basically, if you're moving the lot lines around or you're merging lots of a lot consolidation, makes it a simpler process to get that completed. And then the plat correction is if there's something minor on the plat that has been filed, another signature or another something, it can be done through an administrative process. Planning Commission held a public hearing, and then once the public hearing was complete, they recommended the ordinance for approval to the city commission.
We have any feedback from the public during that public hearing?
No, we did not have any comments either before or during the public hearing.
Anybody else have any questions or comments?
I'll make the motion to approve ordinance 1795.
Have a motion by Commissioner Howard,
Second?
second by Commissioner Myers. Mary, roll please.
Myers,
Yes.
Archer,
Yes.
Howard,
Yes.
Redlin,
Yes.
Showalter.
Yes. Thank you, everybody. Move on to formal actions. Item A, emergency action pursuant to section 7-612 for 2218 Commerce Road, the Oyo Hotel property. Mr. City Manager, guess I'll turn it over to
Turn
Zach.
it over to building official Hildebrand.
Good evening. I've put some papers down in front of you that were not included in your packet. For item A under formal actions, that would be resolution 2025-06. That gives immediate action for us to be able to board up the windows to keep people from going in there. Also included up there is a memo from the chief of police stating what they have had to do over the last year, trying to keep people out of there.
And what was included in your packet was to set a public hearing as far as an unfit structure. Also included in the manager memo that there would be a resolution or some type of action to be able to take emergency action. And we had spoke with the city attorney regarding being able to take some immediate action. Both of the resolutions are before you. They kind of accomplish two different purposes. One is to take care of the immediate problem of people entering that structure, which causes a danger to our officers who have to enter into it, as well as other situations. And then as far as the unfit structure, that's more about what to do with the structure once it's been secured, and what type of actions we'll take further down the road, and letting all the owners, including any financial parties interested in the property, know that the city is starting the process.
Would that include like the rodents and the pest problem that Chief Earhart had mentioned? Because he mentioned there were like a ton of roaches. So that's kind of
Yes.
sketchy.
We could do that under the immediate action or under the unfit. So
Okay.
we take care of it the first time, and if it doesn't handle all of it, then we can go back and have them go through a second or third time to try and get them all the way gone.
Any other questions for Zach? We had any more communication from the owners?
None.
Okay.
Chief Earhart had tried to reach out again also, and he never got a response either. And that's who they've been most responsive to this whole time.
I did have somebody reach out to me and just provide a little insight. Apparently, I don't know if it's the original owners or who has purchased it from them, but apparently the company that owns it also owns property in Garden City that is in the same type of disrepair. So I think we're certainly in for a long haul with this one. So I guess I would just continue. I know you're going to do it, but just continue to encourage to move forward with the process. And I don't feel any need or any inclination that we need to move slowly with it. I think we're going to have to work as quickly as we can and try to figure out what we're going to do. So continue to do the good things you do out there.
Can do.
I would make a motion to approve resolution 25-06.
Second.
Motion by me and second by Commissioner Redlin. Mary, roll please.
Howard,
Yes.
Redlin,
Yes.
Myers,
Yes.
Archer,
Yes.
Showalter.
Yes. Thank you, Zach.
Then to follow that, resolution 2025-05 is what sets the public hearing to continue the process moving forward for the unfit structure.
I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve 2025-05 then.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Myers. Any other comments or concerns? Mary, roll please.
Redmond,
Yes.
Archer.
Yes.
Myers.
Yes.
Howard.
Yes.
Showalter.
Yes. Thanks for catching that, Zach, appreciate it. Item B, change order number 4 for runway 5-23 project.
This we received from Darren with EBH, and it's basically a change order for a price decrease regarding the materials on the project. And then including the change orders we've done previously regarding the Pappy relocation portion of the project. But this will close out the contractor portion, this change order, and it's just a small decrease regarding the total. $9,687.50.
Well, I am all in favor of anytime we reduce the total cost of the project. Anybody else have any questions for change order number 4?
I move that we approve change order number 4.
I have a motion by Commissioner Howard,
Second.
second by Commissioner Redmond. Mary, roll please.
Myers,
Yes.
Redland.
Yes.
Howard.
Yes.
Archer.
Yes.
Showalter.
Yes. Pay estimate number 8 for the Smoky Hill Construction Runway 523 project.
And this is the retainage and the remaining monies due Smoky Hill Construction. $149,211.47. Out of almost $3 million project for that reconstruction of that runway.
And this wraps that project completely up too.
For the contractor portion, I think the engineering still has the final pay estimate for them, but that's once FAA approves all the paperwork.
Fine, there's still a final closeout process that needs to take place, but, yeah, this is just wrapping up everything with the contractor. So,
I have a question regarding that. So this is funded by the FAA, correct? Is what I was reading.
yes,
Should have asked you to come to the phone.
so yeah, this is funded by an FAA grant. Right now, we were fortunate enough to hit this at wasn't a good time, but it was the right time, to where right now, 100% of that cost is covered by an FAA grant. There are portions we're finding out, of the change orders that may have to come from the city, the most it would be was what, a 5 or 10% portion of it, of like a 30, so it's not gonna be a huge expense. It just depends on how much of those, I think, COVID, IIJA relief funds were left over for the FAA, so, yeah, a large majority of that 2.9 million is 100% covered by the FAA.
So have we, with like everything that's going on kind of federally, do we have any nervousness that this may be paused since it's a federal grant?
Always, yes.
Yeah.
I think Mary has more nervousness than and rightfully so, yeah, because it is federal and some of that stuff's coming around. Because it's my
They
understanding.
just approved, he just approved on the SRE grant that I've been working out, trying to
Right.
close out almost $400,000. That's, he's approved reimbursement of it. So I don't think it's a big deal with this part of it.
So what she's saying is, yes, we have another FAA grant out there. So the snow removal equipment that, yeah, just got processed. So there was some wondering if something like that was going to get paused, but thankfully, yeah, there was 3 grants that were kind of brought together on that, or 3 things we had to do, and all that got funded. So.
Thank you.
Yep.
Next one's yours.
Any other questions for item C?
Make a motion to approve the pay estimate number 8 to Smoky Hill Construction.
I have a motion by Commissioner Redland,
Second?
motion, or a second by Commissioner Artser. Mary, roll, please.
Howard,
Yes.
Redland,
Yes.
Myers,
Yes.
Artser,
Yes.
Showalter.
Yes. Change order number 2 for the industrial park base grant.
And
Me again. Sorry, I'm pulling this up so that way I can see what the dollar amount was. Okay. So yeah, this is just, again, same type of deal. This is closeout of this project for Miller Construction. So this is change order 2. Our change order 1 was an actual price increase because prices came in so well. We were able to do that entire industrial park, road, water, sewer, all of that. And so now this change order 2, we're actually reducing that $3,000. So we were fortunate enough, Rich and Neil and I always, the whole time, thought that there was just a lamp hole where there was supposed to be a manhole, and got to digging 4 feet down, and my golly, there was a manhole there. So saved us $7,000 there. So, but yeah, this is just wrapping that up. So a price reduction of $3,000 off of the original change order contract price.
It's nice having that project done, moving forward, that we can hopefully get something out there in that area now.
Mm-hmm.
And everything's there for them.
Agreed.
So I'll move that we approve change order number 2 for the industrial park base grant improvements.
Second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Howard and a second by Commissioner Redland. Mary, roll, please.
Artser,
Yes.
Myers,
Yes.
Howard,
Yes.
Redland,
Yes.
Showalter.
Yes. All right, pay estimate number 6.
And this is just the final payment to Miller Construction for this project. So, like I said, it went really well. Matt and his guys were good to work with, and yeah, we didn't have any really conflict between water, sewer, anything like that being in the way of road construction or vice versa. So, it all went pretty smooth.
Well, I'm glad that this is one of those projects, you know, we got to start when Ann and Brooke and I came on the commission, and it's nice to see that come to fruition. And I think it definitely makes us more competitive with similar communities that have places like this that can make those amenities available to businesses that want to come on in. So
Yeah.
appreciate that. I would make a motion to approve pay estimate number 6 to Miller Construction.
Second.
I have a motion by me, a second by Commissioner Redland. Mary, roll, please.
Howard,
Yes.
Myers,
Yes.
Redland,
Yes.
Artser,
Yes.
Showalter.
Yes. Thank you. Item F, KMEA Board of Directors appointments.
the appointments of Dustin Bedore. Dustin's unable to be with us tonight. And myself as an alternate on the KMEA Board of Directors expires in April of this year. And the request or the recommended action is just to recommend approval to reappoint Dustin as the primary, as Director 1, and myself as the alternate.
Well, we certainly appreciate both of you guys stepping up and your willingness to serve in those capacities. It's always good to have a local Goodland voice on those boards, for sure. With that, I would make a motion to approve Dustin Bedore's appointment to the KMEA Board with Kent Brown as alternate.
Second.
I have a motion by me, second by Commissioner Myers. Mary, roll, please.
Howard,
Yes.
Redland,
Yes.
Myers,
Yes.
Artser,
Yes.
Showalter.
Yes. Item G, the FAA office and storage space at Goodland Airport lease renewal.
This is a very long contract. It's a
Yes,
federal
yes,
contract, 50 pages to rent an office. There have been a couple minor things come up, trying to get coordinated with federal officials. I think we have that worked out, and it's presented for your approval. The rent actually does go up. It's incorrect on my CCCF. I was just noticing that, and point out my mistake, that it did get changed from the original CCF. But it does go up to a little over double what the previous rent was, which was started in 2016. But it's in, they will pay the remainder as of the approval of this contract, and that goes back states a couple months on it, the start of it, so. But otherwise, it is recommended for your approval.
Does anybody have any questions or concerns over the FAA lease agreement? They want to open a restaurant out there too?
I don't want to work with the federal officials.
There you go. Cheapest too.
Any other questions or concerns?
I'll make a motion to approve the lease renewal for the FAA, office and storage space at the Goodland Airport.
Second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Redland, second by Commissioner Howard. Mary, roll please.
Myers,
Yes.
Archer,
Yes.
Howard,
Yes.
Redland,
Yes.
Showalter.
Yes. All right, move on to discussion items, the Sherman County Child Care Coalition.
We have had a request, or I was contacted by David Blocklinger last week, that they have a request. We previously had a memorandum, or we currently have, memorandum of understanding regarding a property on West 10th Avenue that is near West Elementary. And they have received their grant to start building a child care center. And they originally thought that they weren't going to be able to proceed, but I guess I should let David speak on that directly. He knows it more intimately than I do.
So, over the last 2 years, we've gotten 2, maybe 3 grants, totaling about $250,000. Some of that money can be used for buildings, some of it for materials. We're at a point where we can get a house pretty much built, and you like the way I say pretty much built, shell house, roof, everything on the exterior. We're still working on money for plumbing and the interior and that kind of stuff. It's kind of one of those things, if we don't get the ball rolling, we never will. As far as grants work, you have a certain amount of time, and so we feel like we're at that point. We've got the money, we've got a contractor lined up. If at your next if this gets approved, and at your next meeting we have an agreement and we can get that signed, I believe we have to apply for, what is it, Kent? Then we have to take it to the city and get that put in our name so that we can.
Oh, as far as, during the MOU, it was stated that to actually transfer the property, there was going to be discussion whether it was just going to be like we worked out regarding the college, regarding the quick claim deed, and just transfer the property over to it. Or whether anything else was going to be involved with that to transfer it to the Sherman Child Care Coalition. Just need direction from the commission what you would like to do or what you would like to have within the agreement to do that. And if you'd like to go ahead and get that completed now. The actual agreement. We'll present that. It's presented as a discussion item because we didn't present an actual agreement to transfer the property for you to approve. We need some direction in order to do that now. And we can do that at the March 3rd meeting. But this just came up last week, or as I was finishing the agenda.
Sure. So I appreciate you getting me on there.
And we wanted to ask about it because there was a timing thing.
Well, with contractors, it's one of those, you get it slotted, and if we can't get this ball rolling by April, somewhere in there, he's got a spot where he can get us in, and it's kind of exciting for us, 2 years worth of meetings, wondering what we're going to do and how we're going to do it, and we're still in that mode, but we've got the ability to build a house without HVAC and some of that plumbing and cabinets and things, but that's a pretty stinking good start.
Yeah.
So, whatever we need to do to move forward, you just let us know.
I would certainly be in favor of something that mimics, the agreement that we have with the college, the stipulation that, if nothing is built within 3 years, that the property reverts back to the city or some type of agreement like that.
Yeah.
I think we have.
Yeah, I guess kind of a shameless plug here. I appreciate the fact that you guys, move forward with this out of strategic doing. That's an initiative that began there, and if people in the community have not been to one of those meetings, they really need to go and visit and see the good things that are going on and the things that can come out of just a grassroots meeting or a movement where you say these are the problems that we have within the community. Now, who is going to be the people that are going to get things done? So thank you, David, and your group for stepping up to do that. Certainly appreciate that, meeting a huge need within the community right now. So,
Yeah.
Ken, if you could, I guess, put together an agreement that we could take a look at for next meeting, I'd be in favor of signing that and getting that ball rolling for them.
Jake, is there any other parameters we need to?
Yeah, I think there's part of that we're gonna discuss about that. I'm not saying you should do it tonight, but you think about this, right? So at least with the college, you have an institution, not under the obviously now under the Fort Hayes and all of that stuff. So it's not that the college, not saying it can't, but it can't just go away overnight. These guys have done a wonderful job, very passionate, but it's not a self-sustaining organization. It's volunteer-driven, and the same idea, just like we brought up the concerns, if it runs out of grant funds, let's just say they start the project, and like, again, we've got it almost built, or enough to get it almost built. Let's say it doesn't actually get completed. So ultimately, they've started their project, you have a structure on there, although it might not be finished, or say that they run out of grant funds or something like that, so now you have a house, because the whole intent is to have a house on the property. So do you want that to revert back to the city, or how do you treat the house? Because the other idea that this group's going to run into too, what happens if this daycare facility or whatever, or something happens and they can't get it done, but they have excess cash, where does it go? So the other thing too is if you've got the property, it gives it to them, and you got a house on it, they decide they don't want it, and the whole intention was to be able to sell it. Well, marketable value totally different for a house, but the same idea is it's different. It's not a corporation of which is owned by anybody. So what happens to the profits and all that stuff? So there's a little more of the logistics behind. The whole hope is gets off the ground, gets funded, completed, and it has a thriving daycare facility. But in the event it doesn't, what then?
Yeah.
That's more like just what then?
If I could speak to that, and I completely understand that, and I guess my go-to when I talk to people in any decision we've made, I'm always trying to think of what's the worst case scenario. Best case scenario is we get this up and going in 6 months. That would be fabulous, but I don't see it happening even, in 6 months being right where we want it to be. Worst case scenario to me is we're sitting here a year and a half later with a 3/4 built house. We've said all along, we'll sign anything as far as, well, maybe not anything, but an agreement that says, hey, if this, if in the next 5 years you can't make this work, we at least want paid for our lot because it's a city lot. And I understand that completely. If it gets to that point where we're knocking our head against the wall and we realize, okay, we've tried to do something good, it doesn't work. The worst case scenario is we've got 3/4 of a house we can put up for sale. I guarantee we're going to get our lot money worth back out of it. It's my understanding that at that point, if we have some money left over as a nonprofit, it has to be given somewhere. We've got all kinds of foundations here that we have had those conversations. What is the worst case scenario? That might be $10,000 goes to Sherman County Community Foundation, $10,000, maybe I shouldn't even say names, but different places. So I think that's what our worst case scenario is doesn't happen. But somebody could get into a pretty stinking 3/4 built house that put a little more money into it and gets done. That to me is worst case. I hope.
And I think that's where a couple parts of the agreement need to be explicit. What will happen, and it's not anybody guessing. What will happen in case of worst case or almost worst case.
Yeah.
Everybody's hoping for the best case scenario, but
Sure.
it's what the end.
And the other thing to keep in mind, David, is we've talked about before, I'll be honest with you, it's great when there's people like that, like what we have in this room, are sitting in your chairs. But that is not a guaranteed spot, right? So anything can happen, changeover can happen, or say somebody drops the ball and all of a sudden we have a total changeover of people that might not have the best intentions of what you guys are talking about in mind. To have it out in agreement, they can't get past that, right?
Absolutely.
And I am going to be that guy, and I will not name names, but there was a reason why we set up our economic development organization the way that we did. So, all I'm saying is, it's great, and I agree with you, everybody needs to work together and get this thing done. However, you need to also plan on, right, but what if it even is successful, but you get somebody that decides, you know what, we have no business having a public daycare facility in this city, and they want to go start hacking and slashing at it. I mean, I'm not doing that because I'm keeping a side eye to anybody in this room. It's just the idea that there could be that situation. And so then what happens? From the city's end of it, it can be quite simple, as far as what do you want done. The idea is like, okay, if it ends up that it's failed, it goes up for sale and it has a completed house on it or whatever, that you get a certain portion or whatever, or nothing, right? If you don't care, the idea is like, as long as the project is complete and it begins, then we're done and out of it. That's up to you guys. So that's why I'm talking pieces like that.
Just a couple decisions that we'll need from the commission in order to finish out the agreement.
Well, I think certainly, having stipulations in there that, we receive fair payment for the lot if it's either, not used as a daycare anymore, or the coalition goes away, or the project doesn't get finished. That to me is probably the only thing that I guess is concerning for me, or I'd be concerned about, is just at some point, if it's not operated in the idea that, what we had in mind here.
Yeah.
That the city's paid for the lot.
Write it up.
Yeah.
Let's go. Yeah, I get what you're saying. And it might have been simpler to just go buy a lot. It really, I guarantee it would have been simpler if we'd have just taken some of that money. But we're looking at doing something good, and I think that's good for Goodland with an empty lot. And just like you said, I could stand up here all day and tell you, hey, this is how we're going to handle it. We're going to stand up and be true to this. But you're right, Jake. I'm not going to be around forever.
Yeah.
Could be somebody else that has different ideas. So we understand that, and we'll sign an agreement with you if we need to.
So the city's only involvement in this is the lot, correct? Like, it's our lot that we're gonna be handing over?
Correct.
Okay.
Anybody else have any concerns or things that they'd like to see that need to be included in an agreement?
No, I'm in agreement with what you stated.
Yeah, I think that's fair for both parties that way.
Yeah, I agree, 100%.
And we all want it to succeed, so.
Thank you.
Well, I guess if there's some time that you guys can meet, maybe put something together for us to look at that we could have for approval.
She's laughing because I'm going to be gone for the next week.
Nothing you can't do by Zoom, right?
Delegated.
We'll get to it just as soon as we can.
Okay. Yeah, no problem.
We're on your side. We're with
Okay.
you, so.
All right, perfect.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank-
Appreciate it. All right, move on to the 8th Street project follow-up.
We included some information in the packet. I also sent you some pictures over the weekend, basically regarding snow removal, to give you a little bit of an idea. And then Andrew completed a one-page deal put in front of you, basically just with the questions. So,
Yeah, so like you see on your communication form, there's been some communication on this topic. I'll start with not option A and option B that you guys have there in front of you, but just kind of the other things that were discussed that I think we'd want to take care of while we're in there. One is there's a 4-inch water line that's transite, say transite or AC pipe, that green line there that runs underneath the curbing or portion of the curbing in the street. It's a dead end. It's an old line.
What's
It's
the
a-
location?
Oh, sorry. This is Cattle Trail and 8th, right across from the county shop.
Okay.
And by the Jehovah's Witness there. But we want to take, actually go just a little bit further. Yeah, there you go. So it dead ends right there at Colorado. It actually does not tie in anywhere. So it's an old line, it's a dead end, and it's not in great shape. So what we want to do is get that thing out from underneath the roadway, and actually tie in up there on the north side of 8th by, I know I'm going to say this wrong, DeLao. Tie that in right there, and then head straight west, and you can see there's a real light blue line as well that runs north, straight up Cattle Trail. Just tee it straight into there, so then we have a looped system, looped water line, and then take all of those services across the road and tie them in there, so better water, more resilient system, having everything looped together. So that's one. We had brief discussions about wanting to look at doing new lighting down through there. I don't know what your preference would be. There's a couple of pictures that I'm sure you guys probably drive past them every day. There's decorative poles down there on South Cherry. You might not know, but yeah. There's decorative poles down there on South Cherry, and then there's the industrial poles that were just done on 24. Obviously, the decorative, more historical look's going to be more expensive. Whenever we go to do the project, we can always bid that as not an alternate, but an additive to the project. So if we get a good cost, comes in where we need to on the roadside, and this fits in, we can go ahead and accept that with the contractor, or take that out and not worry about it. But again, since we're in there, we're doing all new infrastructure. I know that was a communication piece we had talked to. I don't know if there's a certain way you guys are leaning and looking at there, if that matters to you or what. But yeah, there's a lot of different options on the decorative, and I suppose you could do it on the industrial poles too, with banner arms and flag holders, things like that. And those can be done after the fact as well. But I'm assuming you still want to move forward with a lighting option in the project.
Yeah, I think that's probably.
Having it just as an additive, to make sure, if everything comes in. Okay. So then, the primary question that we've had discussions on. So, currently out there, Sarah, just so you know, catch you up. I'm sure you've listened to all this, but right now from Highway 27 to Kansas Avenue, that is 45 feet. Sorry, Ken, I told you 46 the other day. It's 45 feet from K27 to Kansas, to the west side of Kansas.
Basically from Cattle Trail. It's not really a.
Yeah, to Cattle Trail. Is 45 feet. And then it widens out to 50 feet from Kansas all the way down. We were planning on going to Cherry with this project. So that's the existing width. We talked about sidewalk options. Really, with that, you could throw a sidewalk on each side of that. We would get into people's yards. That just is what it is. If we could install it, because there's locations on this stretch where there's currently sidewalk, it's back up off the road. If it was back off the road, we'd do it 5 feet. If it's up against the curb, we give a little buffer room there, and we actually make it 6 feet wide there, just to get people away from the road a little bit. So then, yeah, like I said, that would be installed in or through people's existing yards. The other option, if we went with a skinnier road diet, is what I'd call it. Yeah, Kent had said he'd given you pictures of what the latest snow rick looked like through there. And then we just had discussions about maybe 42, a couple more feet would be something a little bit more adequate in that stretch if you were going to skinny it up. So really it's 3 feet on a portion of it, but it's 8 feet on another portion of it. you can see in that paper that I gave there to you, even if somebody was parked there, you know, what size of rick we could still have while still having 11 feet for the traveling public to make their way through. So, you know, with the sticking to the existing width, it'd be really hard to do. I know former mayor Aaron had brought up the 8 foot wide meandering trail. Doing something like that, if we're matching these existing roadways, is going to be difficult. Just because I don't think there's going to be that much room to be able to put something like that in. You know, if we dieted it up and skinnied up the roadway, we would maybe have an opportunity for that. And then we'd for sure have plenty of room for 5 or 6 foot wide sidewalks there. Even though we're only skinning it up, well, 3 and 8 feet, we wouldn't get near as far into people's yards as well there. So,
So when we do that, do we remove the old sidewalks out of their yards too, or what would we do there?
we would, yeah.
Even if.
Yeah, we wouldn't leave anything. We wouldn't leave it because if there was anything out there, I guess if we were going to leave something, we would verify that it meets all the ADA standards, the current ADA standards. So everywhere where we have a crossing, yeah, really anything we're going to touch, we're going to make sure any sidewalk facility will meet that. So we don't run into issues there.
We would repurpose that sidewalk, you know, then use it for like roadbed, stuff like that as well.
What's that? Oh, yeah, so there's a couple different options we'd look at during the design on if we do like an aggregate type base or if we do a different modified type base where we'd throw in some cement, things of that sort. It's gonna, yeah, we'll do a little bit more evaluation during the design when that comes to it. So, yeah, so really, I guess what we're after is what I know change is sometimes uncomfortable, but are you more comfortable with just leaving it how it is? Really doesn't matter to me either way, unless Kenton have something else to say about it.
What refresh my memory, what's the street out at the industrial park?
36.
36, okay.
17th Street is 36.
Josh, I put that in the M files as far as the pictures from the recent snow to give you an idea of distance. It just says pictures of snow.
That's what it was.
Well, actually, it's picture of streets of different width. But
There you go. So there you're showing, yeah, some folks are driving there. There's probably enough room there if somebody was parked there. That stretch would work, and actually that is that'd be the 45-foot
That's
stretch.
45, yeah.
So, how wide do you think that, Rick, was when you did that? No idea, probably.
I'm guessing it's probably 6 to 7 wide.
Yeah.
You can tighten them up a little bit too, but depending on the snow size.
Right.
The bigger the snow,
Yeah,
the
that's
bigger
the
pitch around it.
right.
That's an emergency route, right, too?
Yes.
So there shouldn't be anybody parked on that street during snowfall.
Technically, no.
The city hasn't pushed that ordinance much.
And really, I think we'd said this in the past, really there's not a whole lot of parking on 8th except for in the first 2 blocks right west of Main Street,
Sherman to Main or Grand to
probably,
Main.
somewhere in there. Realistically, for the most of the rest of the stretch, there's not a lot of parking.
Well, I certainly liked Mayor Thompson's idea of the meandering sidewalk. And if that means a smaller street, then I would certainly be in favor of that. I think anything we can do to make our community more walkable is an initiative that I can get behind, even if it, adds a little bit of extra cost to the project. And I really like the idea of having the decorative lighting, the more antique style lighting there. I think that's going to be a lot more visually pleasing than just having some industrial lighting out there. But I'm just one opinion, I guess. I'd be open to hearing what everybody else thinks as well. But
I would like to say, if it was out of 36 though, we would have to
Yeah.
enforce no parking.
Yeah. 36 would be tight, yeah.
Automatic no parking. I mean, if you had someone just park on it with a rig, you would get fined on 36.
Well, that's Center Street, what's showing there on the screen now, and that's
It's tight.
It's tight. I've
That's
passed
about that
backup.
distance, so.
I agree. I'd like to add in sidewalks if we can and make the lights prettier. But of course, if it's going to cost a whole lot more, that's something else to look at too.
Yeah, I think it's like what you said, added as an addition. And if we don't have the money for it, that's probably the first thing I would cut is the lights.
Did we also talk about the sidewalks on both sides or just the one side? I can't remember.
I think it was just one side.
Well,
Yeah.
you can do what you want. You know, it's really whatever you would prefer. I mean, we could put them on both sides. If you're going to do an 8-foot path on one side, I don't know. I wouldn't recommend putting an 8-foot path on both sides. I don't really see a need
No.
necessarily for that. Or even if there's a need to even have a sidewalk on the other side, if you've got something that big on one side, because really that's going to be the equivalent of both sides. If you did a 5, it's going to be close, 5 foot on each side.
How wide's the sidewalk over at Stever Park?
Stever is 8.
Is it 8?
Yes. Yep.
Which is typical for trail sizes.
Yep.
Sidewalks.
So what, you need a hard and fast decision from us tonight then?
I can't. In order to give a better, again, this is going to be an estimate again, and I know like on I hate to bring this up because it was such a difference at the industrial park. You know, you just never know. We had a huge price jump in 2021, and thankfully things have somewhat leveled off. But to get a better idea of what we need to ask for with bond counsel, things like that, we would, and to get kind of the project moving, we would like an answer. Like, so the electrical portion of it, we can figure that. I can figure that up. But the width, that will make. I mean, I say it's going to make a difference. You know, on a $6.5 to $7.5, $8 million project, it's a couple $100,000. You know, shortening things up. So
What we had in the packet was basically broke down to about 4 questions. The width of the road surface, we had previously given you 36 feet and 50 feet, or keeping it the same, 50 and 46 feet. And then it was basically give us something in the middle. That was 40 feet, it's 42, is basically the middle that would work the best. It sounded like, is 42 okay with you as far as the size of the road?
And that's with a 8-foot sidewalk with 42 feet?
Well, that's just talking about the street
The
surface.
street
yeah,
itself.
just the street surface.
Okay.
Street and the curb and gutters on each side.
Yeah. So really, the overall width would either be it'd be 47 or 55 and 50.
And would this be something at 42 where we would need to enforce the no parking? Like, strictly?
Smaller events like this, I
Smaller
think,
events,
I think you'd
no.
be fine. But
Okay.
yeah, if Kenton's guys have to get in there
If
after
it's a foot of snow.
6 to 8
maybe.
inch snow,
Yeah.
then you might start running into some issues.
As a city prosecutor, I would suggest you enforce all of your code.
I'm new here.
Despite the conditions or what streets you feel are enforceable, I, on the other hand, have a different view. So if you found the right reason to enforce the code the way that it's written, then I would suggest you just do it at that time.
Or 42 feet then?
I don't have any issue with 42 feet.
42
Well-
feet would probably be all right.
So what you would see with 42, and I think you'd have a hard time seeing it, is down in front of the county shop. That's already concrete. We're not going to touch that. You know, we would be bringing the road in 3 feet total there. I don't know that you'd, like I said, I don't know that you'd see see it out there. I mean, we wouldn't start the transition until, You know, you're right here on this side of the intersection. The only other place that you would see the transition is gonna be, we wouldn't touch kind of some of the major intersections. We won't touch Main. We'll match out to what's existing there with the GAC and all that stuff. Won't touch that. Would not touch Caldwell. That's all concrete. We're not gonna mess with that. And then we'd have to tie back into Cherry on the other side of Cherry, the east side of Cherry. So, so those would be the only places we're kind of coming in and out, and it'd be gradual anyways. It's not like it's going to be you're driving and then, you know, something like that. So
if we were to do a meandering sidewalk on one side,
yes, sir.
we did the 42-foot street with 5-foot sidewalks on both sides, that's 10 foot. So how much space would we need total for the meandering sidewalk?
You wouldn't do 2 5-foots and an 8-foot.
No, I know that.
Yes.
But I'm saying 2 5-foots, so we got 10 foot of the sidewalk.
Correct.
If we don't do those, we do one meandering on one side.
Mm-hmm.
What's the overall width that we're gonna have for the meandering 8-foot sidewalk?
But an 8-foot sidewalk's going to be pushed back up into people's yards a little bit. Sorry, not going to be pushed into people's property into the right of way where their yard is in the right of way a little bit more than a 5 or 6 foot sidewalk would be. So it would still be within the public right of way. It's just gonna eat up a little bit more of that space there. So, and when we'd get into design, if that's something you wanted to do, we'd look, because, well, there's a perfect example. I don't really think it'd be a good idea to go through and whack all those trees if they didn't need to be. So we're gonna look at
Right.
where that's gonna best fit. So, but yeah, that 8-foot's gonna be probably pushed, if it's meandering, it's gonna have to be pushed back off the curb. The curb line's all gonna be straight.
So the total will end up between 10 and 12 feet instead of,
Yeah, back behind the curb, something like that, yeah.
so compared to the 10 feet of the 2 5-foot.
Right.
Mhm.
So it's approximately the same, probably a tad more in different areas.
Yep.
The other thing, and this kind of segues right into it, you know, you talk about the road surface, 42. Then it's, okay, sidewalk on one or both sides, and sidewalk design. They're kind of intertwined with each other. Sounds like you would prefer the meandering trail version of the sidewalk versus both sides of the sidewalk. Is that correct?
And
I
again,
would say no for me. I think that that's just going to be really difficult, like the points that you're bringing up with having to cut out trees and stuff. I don't know. And then like I think of like the space that's going to be in between the sidewalk. Who's in charge of that? Like in like if we put flowers or we pot things there, who's going to be in charge of that? Is that going to fall on the city? You know, is that going to be the responsibility of those people? Like I wouldn't assume that's what it would be. I would assume it'd be something with the city, and I just don't know if I'm in favor of that.
Ongoing maintenance.
Yeah.
Yep. What price-wise, what would it be for the two versus the meandering? Is there gonna be a price difference?
Mhm. You're doing 2
Meandering's
less
probably
feet
gonna-
for a half a mile, yeah. And if
Yeah,
we
but-
did the 8 feet, you know, we would have to stop short, I'd say, by at least center, where it goes in front of the bank,
Right.
Western State Bank. We'd have to ride along the back of the curb, kind of how it is there. Same with the GAC, and it wouldn't be able to meander again until you got down to Gulick.
Right.
And actually, since there's decent sidewalk there.
Yeah,
it's
and
like,
we might.
do we do anything with that?
Right.
Probably not.
I know this has been talked before I've been here, so I don't have a huge opinion, but I also kind of agree with Commissioner Redlin. I don't know, I don't necessarily see the benefit of the meandering path over the 2 sidewalks on each side. I feel like they're gonna service the same purpose, and if one's more cost efficient. And, I mean, I don't know, I don't necessarily see the most people out on 8th Street. I know that's what we're trying to get, is to get more people walking and whatnot, but I don't know. I almost feel like the 2 sidewalks, the 2 5-foot would almost be better, I guess. But like I said, I know I've not been in a lot of this talk. That's just my initial thoughts.
And again, those sidewalks might not be to the back of the curb. There's an example right there between Grand and Sherman. You can see a very faint, and it's mostly destroyed sidewalk on both sides of the road. So you see where his cursor's at, runs right there. Everywhere I've ever been, it's been my understanding that there's grass or whatever there is between the sidewalk and the back of curb. That's been whoever owns that adjacent property. Now, I know people can interpret that differently, but that's always been my understanding. We do sidewalks like that all the time through different communities. So where it's back up, it's better if it's back up off the curb. Honestly, it's safer. It's a pedestrian facility. It shouldn't be right up there against the traveling public anyways, or the vehicular traffic. But yeah, so.
Well, I certainly think, no matter which way we go, whether it's a meandering trail or a sidewalk, we need to make sure that there is a way to make sure that that street is walkable and accessible to pedestrian traffic, so.
And again, I can put numbers in there for a worst case scenario at this point. I mean, it's just putting a number in an estimate for right now, and then going to bond council and making sure we have all that stuff set up. Yeah, we can have all that stuff ready, so then whenever then it does come down to design, or we're in the middle of a design, then you can actually physically see what we're going to have to do. That's hard to show on just this aerial here, so.
So you'd be able to show us what cost difference between the two types of sidewalk would be? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, or the look during design too, where things would have to go and how things would have to fit a little bit more, but, yeah.
I think that would certainly help me make up my mind as far as what the final destination needs to be. Like, in the end, it all comes down to what the number's gonna look like, so.
Well, and I think with a solid decision on the street width, it'll make Andrew's job be able to move forward with that. And then the final thing is regarding the lighting example. At least to get an estimate regarding, is there general consensus regarding the more decorative lighting as far as an entrance into the city?
I think, again, that might be one of those things we're gonna need to see numbers on.
Yeah,
I mean,
put the regular light in with an option for the second one, the price increase.
We can do that.
just price everything.
Yeah, and I think Dustin's got current pricing for what was done at 24, but the decorative poles, what we're kind of waiting on some information from still yet, but.
That's definitely a direction I hope we can go, but I know sometimes those things become cost prohibitive, so.
Mhm.
So I think 42 feet is a consensus with
Yes.
numbers on lighting and sidewalks.
We made it through one question. We'll have to return with the others to get the answers to the other ones.
Okay.
Does that help you, Andrew?
Mhm.
Okay.
With one question. So, what's that? Anything else you guys have, questions wise, concerns wise, as we're going through this process?
And does this, are we including from the highway to cattle trail in this too?
That's gonna be a portion of what the estimate is, yes,
Okay.
to go ahead and redo the access right there off of the highway. So, I've heard it's not good, not just from one person in here tonight, but, anyways, yes, that is anticipated to be done, yep.
Okay. Thanks for-
Maybe even sooner than the other portions. Kent and I have had some discussions about that. We'll
Yeah,
see how
we've had
things
some
work out.
discussions. That may become, or might ask the commission, is it enough of a priority to go ahead and take care of that separately rather than for the big project, or even if it's part of the big project, that gets taken care of first.
Mhm.
That's actually, that block will be the most difficult to route the traveling public around.
Right.
The rest of it, there's alternate routes you can take.
Yep.
That's gonna be a stopping point for.
And when we work up the design and we get into the beginning stages, yeah, we'll work pretty closely with you guys and obviously the city on what the best phasing is gonna be for the project. It's gonna be a pain, construction always is, until you get to the final product, so, yeah, just one of those things. The industrial park was nice. Nobody was out there complaining.
Thanks, Andrew.
Thanks,
Thanks, Andrew.
All right, item C, the water tower maintenance proposal.
And we hadn't discussed this with you previously, and we ended up with two different proposals. One for the entire amount for this year, and the second one for, to split it up into 2 years. Neil and I have discussed this with Rick Penner with Viking Industrial Paint. This was part of the original review and proposal. The first tower we needed to take care of items with was the power plant, or the water tower at the power plant. The north water tower up at 4th and Kansas was the second one that needed to be addressed. The biggest part of this, there are a few maintenance items to take care of regarding the water tower, but the biggest thing is the interior needs to be repainted, and that's a big cost. That's not a minor cost. The total proposal is about $150,000, and there was two alternatives. One, to do it entirely this year, but then to split it in 2 years, depending on the scheduling that can occur. It will probably occur in the fall, as far as getting, which would work best for our operations as well anyway. We don't want to have the north water tower down
During summer.
during irrigation, or Brooke will have to cut back on the watering of his yard, so we don't want to do that, so.
That's true.
But the interior does need to be taken care of, and you have the proposals in front of you, and I didn't know if you had any questions about it first, from what was presented. And it's at pages, well, the proposals are on page 118, 119, 120, and 121 of the agenda package. Neil, I'm sorry, did you have anything else to add?
Some things that they were wanting to change that was on the original, with the roof vent that had some issues with it. That screen was kind of pulled apart in some areas, and it would be another access point when they change that.
That's this one out here, right? Far past the one in the.
5th in Kansas.
Yeah, okay.
Yes, at 4, sorry about that.
And there was a couple other things that need to be done, but we've talked about it, and we can do some of the work that needs to be done on that scope of things that need to be taken care of on that. So there's some that we can't take care of, but there's others that we can.
So basically, you're needing some direction as far as option 1 or option 2 then?
And if you're comfortable with the proposal, the staff's recommendation is go ahead and split it in 2 years, because it's about the amount that we keep setting aside in the SURF, the capital reserve fund, for water tower maintenance. In fact, we have scheduled for this year 80,000, so it'd be just less than that to get it done. for each year.
I guess my question would be the state of our other water towers. Is this going to cause any issues there, or do we feel like they're in good enough repair to be able to float this one for 2 years, and then the next repairs? 'Cause I know we have repairs for a couple of other ones as well.
Yeah, and we've went over all the deficiencies on the other towers, and this is, sorry.
You're fine.
And this was probably the one that needed the most attention. The South Tower, it was built in '99, and it's never been repainted since it's been new, so that one can use a paint job, but this one has some other deficiencies that KDHE
Yeah.
would rather see this one get fixed, get the deficiencies fixed, the interior painting and coatings done on it, and then we'll be good for quite a while on it.
Yeah, I agree. I think that providing clean, safe water is number one.
When was the last time this one was painted? On the inside? Right, that one.
I think in the early 90s. 12,
So 20 years, roughly.
30.
30.
I can't math, you're right, 30 years.
It's time. I mean, we need to do something, and we all like good, clean water to drink, so, to do other things with, so.
And with some of the pictures that Viking provided us, it pretty much pinpointed some of the bad areas. Some of them are in the dry well, but others are where the water is.
And the only photos that were grabbed were really regarding the interior painting. Didn't really have photos of you've had that previously, because the presentation over a year ago. And the screen on top. And then what Neil mentioned was the outflow at the bottom. That can be taken care of by city crews. But the interior painting, both the wet area and the dry area, because Neil doesn't like climbing up in between the water. There has to be a dry area. That both of those need to be done on the inside. And it's just normal maintenance. This is typically what happens with water towers. This is not unusual.
Yeah.
But the timing is such that it does need to be taken care of.
I guess I'm in favor of floating it for 2 years and getting this taken care of.
Same.
I agree. Yeah.
We have a direction.
Thank you.
If you guys approve the proposal, then we can go ahead with a motion to do so if you want to do that.
Which one was that? Was it option one?
No, it was option
Option
number
two.
two.
Option two.
So I'll make a motion to approve the water tower repairs for $77,900 to be made in 2 payments.
Well, in 2 payments of 77,000.
That's what I meant. Two payments of $77,900 to Viking. What is it? What are they? Viking Industrial Painting.
I second.
Is that good enough, Mary?
Yep, I got it.
Okay.
All right. I have a motion by Commissioner Redlin and a second by Commissioner Artzer. Any other questions or comments? Mary, roll please.
Myers,
Yes.
Archer,
Yes.
Howard,
Yes.
Bradlin,
Yes.
Showalter.
Yes. All right, stoplights at 12th and Main, follow up.
Before we have a resolution to do formally, what we currently have in place right now, we have 4-way stop at 12th and Main. There was a question, I don't know, during the last meeting, right after the meeting, as far as what the staff and department heads think of having either whether a 2-way stop or a 4-way stop at 12th and Main. And there's a little bit of difference of opinion among staff regarding a 2-way stop and a 4-way stop. it would be easy enough to do according to Kenton has said. I don't know if you want to mention anything regarding that to start with. And then I'll ask Jason to speak on it regarding an enforcement perspective.
Basically, if we leave it a four-way stop, all I have to do is drill some holes, put stop signs in, and they're in. I'll have to order some all-way signs to put underneath the stop signs, but the stop blocks are already there. If we do only make it a two-way, just like the last one, we'll have to tear out the stop blocks and then lay new brick in. Which ain't huge, not a big deal to do. So either way, whichever direction you guys want to go, that's what the street department will have to do. So.
And then Chief Earhart, are you able to, it sounded like you were listening to something, so I didn't know if you didn't get off your chair.
Chairs with arms.
So, my opinion is a four-way stop. You have the movie theater right there. There's a lot of foot traffic. I wasn't necessarily in favor for the last one not to have any stop signs or stop lights, just because Main Street's so populated with young kids and teenagers and elderly, everybody during the summer especially. So I really think that needs to be a four-way stop, especially being by the movie theater.
Yep, I agree.
So that's my bubble thought.
There was the thought expressed by other department heads regarding to keep the flow of traffic moving, and main streets often don't have stop signs on them. But there's been this thought process to protect, since there is so much pedestrian traffic at that corner, and also to break up Main Street into two sections, and it's just a block away from the elementary school. There really isn't a separate speed zone on Main Street because it's all one speed. It does let you know the school's there, but there's not a school zone on Main Street with a different speed. So that was all that there is.
I will mention, I take that road every day when I leave my house. I've seen a person already run the stop sign on Main, because when Main Street's full and all the cars are parked, you can't see the stop signs that are on Main Street. You can see the ones going, east and west, but you can't see the ones going north and south. So that would be something we'd need to probably address, because, I don't know, I can't see them. I know they're there, so I stop, but I've seen someone run it already.
If you're going east and west, it's hard to see around those cars anyway, especially if Main Street's full. You have to edge all the way up to the very end before you can even look around the vehicles, which is why I like the stoplight on both sides. That's the case on the was it 10th Street that you took the stoplight out of? 11th. That's a little bit more open. I mean, that to me is not so hard, but right there, that's a tight corner. And yeah, I do see that being a problem. I don't know how they're going to see the stop signs and anyway, coming north to south.
I do believe Mr. Bedore brought up the idea of like doing an LED around the stop signs as well, and I think that would probably solve a lot of that issue, just bring more attention to the stoplight, that it is there.
Well, I'm sure that you could probably make it higher, couldn't you? Can't you make it a little bit?
Standard on.
Oh, is there?
Yeah.
7 foot is the standard.
It would be good, whatever you do, to put some sort of warning light at least, so whenever we do construction projects and we do move a stop sign, there is a 30-day period where we do put lights on stop signs that have moved, even if they've just moved 2 feet, just so that way people can get used to seeing where that's at. It's not going to stop somebody new from in town blowing through it, but at least get the local traffic.
Which we did that up there on 11th Street, there by the school.
Yep.
By West School, put some lights on top of those ones to get their attention.
Is that just solar, or is that
Those
you have
ones
to
are
have?
solar,
Mhm.
those are some little lights on top. Those ones are cheap, but if you guys are wanting to put the LEDs around the ones, those ones get a little bit expensive.
That was just an idea. I don't know. We decide on something.
I just think on those situations, especially on Main Street, what you're fighting against more is just people's habits and behaviors, not seeing them. No offense, but again, I'm not gonna name names, but I too know of people that have just blown through that intersection on Main Street because it's just purely out of habit, not because they didn't see it. I didn't say me.
Somebody's room raised their hand.
Mary raised her hand because she wants a citation, apparently.
I didn't see it. So I just think it's probably gonna be one of those deals that, however you do, it's probably more or less gonna be behavior driven and habit than anything, practicality.
Well, whatever we're gonna do is gonna be light years cheaper than trying to replace those stoplights and fix that, so. I would be in favor of a four-way stop there, and then whatever we need to do to try to make sure that that sign is lit up or has lights on it, so people know that they're gonna have to start changing their behavior or recognize a new traffic control device. But I agree with Chief Earhart that there needs to be a four-way stop at that intersection.
Them red lights that on the very top, gets it up a little higher, I think those would probably be pretty sufficient.
There you go.
And those ones at West School have been blinking, we haven't touched them, they say they've been up there for almost over 2 years now.
So that's what you're talking about, is what's there? Oh, that'd work then, because that gets your attention. Because that'll stay on all night, won't it?
All night, and they blink all day too, those ones have been.
Okay, guess that'd be our direction then.
Okay.
Thank you, Chief. All right, item E, set date for work session and strategic planning meeting.
Oftentimes, you've selected off Mondays just because people are used to the time to get here. There are 5 Mondays in March, so depends. That might be and that's just based on what you decided before. With one new member that we'll need to have input on it, but.
I did request this be added to the agenda tonight, a lot for myself, but a lot also for our new incoming commissioner. I want to make sure that we all have a chance to sit down and talk about our ideas and thoughts and work through kind of the strategic vision for the city, so.
I will say Mondays in March will not work for me. So sorry, gotta change it up.
About Tuesday, the 11th.
Will not work for me.
What days will work for you?
So I've got the 4th through the 7th, the 12th through the, I'm assuming you guys don't want to do weekends, 14th, the 20th, the 21st, and the 28th.
How about March 4th? 5 o'clock.
Should be fine.
Works for me.
That work for you, Kent?
Sure.
Good. March 4th at 5 o'clock it is. Thank you. We'll move on to reports. We haven't heard from Kent yet tonight, so we'll let him talk for a minute.
Don't have much to add at this point. Your manager memo is included in your packet, as well as the month-end fund balance report and the police monthly activity report for January. Do ask our building official, Zach, has an additional update on a property on West 15th or 13th.
I brought this property to you guys at the end of November. We had given them 90 days to complete tearing it down, which they have completed tearing it down, and it is leveled out. There were some tree branches on it the last I drove by, but that's all easy stuff to get cleaned up, so we don't have to worry about moving forward on this property.
Sounds good.
And the correct address on the property is?
508 West 15th.
508. West 13th?
15th.
15th.
He mumbled a bit when I asked him. No, I'm just kidding. My ears were having a problem. That's what it was.
Or we were talking about 17 other properties.
Well, thank you. Does anybody have any questions, comments, or concerns for our city manager? All right, you're off the hook then. We'll move on to commissioner reports. I'll start here on my left with Commissioner Redland.
Just want to say thank you to city crews and everyone else that helped with snow cleanup. You guys do a magnificent job every single time. It always seems to be done where we're not in your way, the citizens aren't in your way, and vice versa. So I just want to say thank you for all you guys do. Sometimes you guys work extra hours, and just really appreciate that.
Commissioner Howard?
Nothing really. I'd like to welcome the new commissioner here. It's a pleasure to have you here, and I hope you enjoy it. And thanks for volunteering.
Yeah.
Commissioner Myers?
Same thing, ditto what they said. Thank you for the city crews, it's much appreciated, and welcome aboard. Yeah.
Commissioner Artser, your first 10 minutes you have. You go ahead.
I will take 10 seconds.
Commencement speech.
No. Thank you for choosing me. I know you didn't have a choice. There's no one else, but I'm excited. I'm excited to be here. I've been nervous for like a week, so it wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. But thank you.
Thank you. For the mayor's report, I really don't have anything else to add. Just welcome Commissioner Artser. Appreciate your willingness to step up and serve, and you don't know what you got yourself into, so welcome aboard. With that, I would take motion to adjourn.
So moved.
I have a motion by Commissioner Redland.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Myers. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Don't change.